Hey, what's up guys? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. Today we're going to do a video on corner leverage and two read. I get asked this question a lot, so I'm just going to give you my opinion on how we do it, things we're working on, things we may be looking at changing. Make sure you check out some of our partners, GameStrat, Sideline Replay Company we use, Bishop Kenny High School. I've used them the last 5 or 6 years. If you're looking for highly reliable, highly affordable, great customer service, check out GameStrat. Dome Headwear, the hat company we use for Play Fast Football, Bishop Kenny High School, completely customizable, online hat builder. You design your own hat. Change the style, change the colors, the panels, your logo, any embroidery you want on it. Change the enclosures on the back, fitted, snapback, Velcro, you name it, they have it. Baker Sporting Goods, all right, the company we use for our coaches gear, sideline gear. Uniforms are distributed from Baker's. Players Spirit Packs, other cloth items we get from them. They're big in the baseball world. They do a ton of stuff. Great company, check out Baker Sports. JustPlay, which is the playbook software we use at Bishop Kenny High School. I use it with my Play Fast site on Patreon. It's the best play drawing tool on the market. It's really a unique teaching tool. You can use videos and diagrams to create quizzes where you can quiz your players on playbooks, game plans. So it's a really interesting piece of software that I think takes our program to the next level. So check out JustPlay. DifferenceUSA, the ultimate striking machine. You get thousands of reps. You don't need a partner. Work on striking in season, off season. Don't need anybody there holding a bag. Don't have to teach anybody how to hold a bag. It sets up right on all your squat racks or your cages in your weight room. All right, so you can get all the reps you need, elbows in, thumbs up. Work on striking violently so that you can strike violently in game situations with DifferenceUSA. And then XandOnotebook, which is a custom notebooks for players, custom notebooks for coaches. You can use them in your meetings when you are teaching things. If you're teaching them through an iPad or a computer through your digital platforms with your playbooks, now you can have notebooks that are completely customizable for your players with your logo on them. Every notebook comes with pages that have diagrams already in there. You can customize how you want those diagrams so it's easy to draw on for the players, sections for the players to take notes. So why not have your meetings with your digital tools that you're using, but make your players take notes, because we all know we learn better when we write things down and then we can go back and remember the things that we wrote down. So coaches can have them for game plans. When you have your game plan meetings, coaches can have a book for a season. You could have an individual book for game plans, however you want to do it. Completely customizable. Check out XandOnotebook. Excuse me. So I get asked all the time when we play palms or two read, what leverage do we play the corners? And my first answer all the time, standard camp rules, we play 1 yard outside. All right, so we play 7 yards off. We play 1 yard outside, and we are tilted with our butt back to the sideline. We are a shuffle out team when we are reading two. That's how we play it, all right? So we are tilted, butt to the sideline, 1 yard outside of one, standard camp rules. Now, we give our kids the ability based on splits, right? And I would say, you know, we talk about dividers, and sometimes I change them from year to year so that I don't have exact dividers that I can give you. What I try to tell our players is, where's the ball? Where's the split? Okay? And do you feel like you can play with inside leverage from that split and get your job done? All right, now, here's why I choose outside leverage, okay? We all know in middle of the field open, palms or quarter structures, you are going to have to defend the post. So people ask all the time, how do you defend the post from outside leverage? How do you defend the post? And, you know, one of the first things I tell them is the post really the throw that you're worried about? Now, on paper, theory, I know that versus two read versus quarters, you're going to see double post, you're going to see post over dig, you're going to see all the theories that beat that structure of coverage. I totally understand that. My response to people is, how many of those throws are being completed in game situations? Not 7-on-7, okay? So 7-on-7, no pass rush, clean pocket, 3 seconds to throw the ball. Quarterbacks can hitch up 6 times, they can do whatever they want. I don't worry about 7-on-7. How many post throws are you giving up in game-like situations? If you are playing palms, two read, quarters, middle of the field open, and you are getting beat in game situations with post concepts, then you need to seriously address either A, how you can play the middle of the field, all right? If you're a middle of the field open team, are you going to stay middle of the field open? Do you have things that close the middle? Do you have post safety defense? Okay, B, do you want to play with different leverage? So the reason we still play with outside leverage is because I have not gotten beaten on enough post throws in game situations. Now again, game situations mean pass rush, players around, pockets not always clean, okay? Coverage that you have to navigate that changes, throws that change because we are middle of the field closed at times, we do play some man theory. So when you throw all those things into consideration, is the post throw really that big of a deal? So I say for us, it's not at this point, so I still play with outside leverage, but I will give you some of my opinions on how we try to navigate that, all right? I think, personally, that the now screen bubble game is way more prominent and highly effective in high school. I think the majority of the teams that you play have kids that can throw the bubble. They have kids that if they catch the bubble can do a lot of damage. All right, they can throw now screens. So in my opinion, the way I approach defense, I am going to play with the leverage that defends this or puts my players in the best possible scenario to defend this. Now, with the corners that we play with, we are a little bit undersized, all right? We've got good players, we've got smart players, we've got kids that are tough. A little bit undersized, so I choose outside leverage so that if we do get now game, bubble game, and we don't want it circling the wagons, from outside leverage when we shuffle, when we decide that we are going to play two, we need to continue to maintain, all right, position maintenance, leverage maintenance, outside so the ball goes back to, all right, where we have the nickel and the high safety. Okay, so that is the first reason we choose outside leverage, all right, because my job with 2 to the flat is to leverage that number 2. I have to leverage the bubble. I have to stop the ball in that theory. Now screens, bubbles, I have to stop the ball from getting to the perimeter. I'm not the force player in the run game, all right, but as soon as they go extended run game, bubble, nows, that type of stuff, I do become the force player. And I've got to be able to leverage and turn the ball back in to where I have help. So that's why we start with outside leverage. Okay? So we play 7x1, we play tilted, we shuffle. When we trigger, now we trigger 2 different ways. Alright, sometimes we trigger negatives hard. Sometimes we sit in the hole because off of this theory, the next thing you're going to get is the vertical hole shot. And I would much rather defend that ball first and tackle that ball second. But if we play teams that either have trouble throwing this, haven't thrown it on film, or they throw this really, really well, we will trigger the negative a lot harder, and we'll also play a bunch of cover 2 out there, but that's a different conversation. So, to me, for what I see, now I know, again, I did a video talking about this a couple weeks ago about being more aggressive in coverage. I know we want to keep the ball in front. I know we want to limit explosive plays. All right, I know we want to play routes top down. I know we want to cover deepest to shortest, okay? But if this throw is low percentage, okay? In other words, if the teams you are playing with a pass rush, with bodies near the quarterback, with changes in coverage, if they cannot consistently complete that throw, do you want to change your leverage based on low percentage throws? All right, and right now, in my opinion, I say no. Now, couple things that we do. Again, based on splits, right? So if the ball's in the middle of the field and a receiver gets outside the top of the numbers, we will allow the corner to play inside. Okay? When the corner is allowed to play inside, what we tell them is if you get any 2 to the flat, you had better be able to recreate your outside leverage. All right, when one comes to block you, the ball had better not get outside. If the ball gets outside, you're going to start to lose the privilege of playing with inside leverage. All right, because again, position maintenance, our job is to make sure that bubble screen goes back inside. The now screen to 1 goes back inside. So if we play with inside leverage based on dividers or splits, and we lose the ball to the edge on nows and quicks, you're no longer going to be able to play with inside leverage. Okay, because remember now, if I'm inside of 1, if the camera was 1, and I started inside of 1. If 2 goes to the flat and I have to trigger a bubble, when I come down, if I'm inside the camera and the camera pins me, the nickel and the safety are inside the camera as well. If the ball goes outside of me, I am not sending it to where I have help. So from the shuffle position, when I trigger, I have to be able to now take a departure angle that's going to get me back outside the camera so I can turn that block back where I need to turn it and keep my outside arm as free as I can and make the ball go back to the nickel and the safety. So if you can do that from inside leverage, then you have, all right, a little bit bigger leeway and window with splits to play inside leverage. Okay? But if you cannot, what we've done, all right, and I work on this and I change it all the time in our off-season 7-on-7. Two things that we have done. All right, the first thing that I did was I told the corners, okay, listen, when you shuffle out, and our read system is very simple, it's 2 and linebacker level. So for us, 2 has to come to our face under the linebacker level for us to think about playing that route. If 2 doesn't do anything along those lines, underneath our apex nickel linebacker, we have all of 1 down the field. So what I do is I work on drills with our corners where I'll put a cone, all right? If our corners start at 7 off, okay, I'll put a cone that's about 20 yards from the ball, and I'll put it probably 4 to 5 yards inside to start. And I do a drill where they shuffle out, and then I make them run with their eyes back to 1 towards the cone. Why am I doing that? Because as soon as we come out of our shuffle and we don't have 2 to the flat, and we've got all of 1, I'm trying to recreate leverage to the post. Right? So if I'm playing them with outside leverage, and I'm worried about throws to the post, and I shuffle straight back, now I've got to recreate leverage to the post. So once I declare that I'm not playing 2, and I'm going to have all of 1 down the field, I come out of my shuffle and I try to recreate the leverage to the post with my eyes back to 1, and then the next thing you're going to have to work on, all right, is blind spot, speed turning to comebacks and other balls, because now if I run that hard inside towards the camera with my eyes back to 1 and 1 goes vertical, he's going to get in that blind spot. So I got to figure out how to find him in that blind spot, speed turn, all the things that I may need to do to defend those other routes now because I'm working on taking away, all right, the leverage to the post. So that's one thing that we have done. We have started 7-by-1 outside shuffle. When 2 is not to me, and I know I'm playing all of 1, I crossover run, and I put a cone where they have to crossover run to, where I think is going to take away standard, all right, leverage to the post. Again, and that's saying that you're just getting standard post routes. Now, if this kid were to stem, right, or to do something in here first and work up and then go to the post, it might be a little bit different. All right, but I put the cone out there just as a landmark to say, all right, shuffle out. All right, 2 is not to you, shuffle out, crossover run, eyes to 1 while running inside to the post. And that's why I put the landmark down there. The other thing that we've worked on is starting outside, but starting outside tilted and shuffling on an angle. All right, so if I start 7-by-1 outside, but I'm tilted, and I shuffle on an angle, now when I come out of my read shuffle, I should have hopefully tried to recreate inside leverage to the post. Then I can turn and run vertical because I think I've created the leverage to the post. Again, if leverage to the post is your main concern, then you've got to do some things to take it away. If you want to play inside, you've got to be able to recreate leverage on nows, bubbles, quicks, all right, so that you can turn the ball back inside. If you're going to play outside, you've got to think about how you can recreate leverage to the post if you have to defend the post. All right, so again, to me, it's all a couple things. Number one, it's opinion-based. My opinion is the post ball is not as big a throw as people think in high school football. Okay, I think it's something that people try to throw in a game, pass rush, bullets flying, all right, unclean pockets, middle of the field closed at times, man coverage at times. I don't think the post is that big of a deal. What I think is a big deal is quicks, nows, bubbles. I think everybody can throw those, and I think everybody's got a dude that can catch it and beat you in a hurry. So I choose to defend that first. Okay, now, again, I also, I have it in my mind that I'm smart enough to understand we don't always 100-mile-an-hour trigger those things. We play them with outside leverage so that when we do trigger, we can at least turn the ball back to where we have help. And then we carry coverage components, all right, things like cover 2, man deals with underneath help. We carry coverage components that change up so that the bubble, all right, we'll go to quarters concepts where we play the nickel outside of 2. So now they've got to crack the nickel to try and run bubble of 2 if I'm outside of 2. So we carry other pieces to protect that. Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm worried so much about the bubble that as soon as we see it, or 2 to the flat, we trigger 100 miles an hour. No, we don't, because I'm worried about the whole shot first if they can throw it, because that's one of the weaknesses in the coverage. Now, when we start to trigger aggressively is if they are good at throwing the bubble to a really, really explosive player, number one. And number two, if I'm worried about them throwing the post, well, if they can't throw the post, the kid probably can't throw the field side hole shot to 1, 2. So when I'm analyzing an opponent, and I'm saying that the quarterback doesn't have the ability to get the ball in those spots, well, that week I might tell my corners that we're going to trigger 2 to the flat right now. All right, and I tell the safety, you're on your own on a hole shot. I haven't seen him throw it yet, and I don't know if the quarterback can get it there. Right, if it's a field side number 1 hole shot, maybe he can't get it there. If I think that the post is a theory that's tough to complete in high school, well, the field side hole shot is also tough to complete. So we start that way. We start defending the hole shot, triggering late. We make the ball bring us down when we're in 2-read or palms with the corner. But we have the ability at any time to trigger 2 negatively right away. Okay, if they're a big team that can get the ball out there on quicks or things, 2 to the flat, I may want to trigger right away. That becomes game plan specific. All right, but camp rules, we start with outside leverage. We give our kids a couple tools that I think help them recreate leverage to the post, and for each kid it's different. Some kids like the tilted shuffle inside, some kids like the shuffle square and then run inside. Okay, now one of the corners that I've got coming back played for me last year as a 10th grader. Not a very big kid, but a very, very good football player. Understands football, knows where he needs to be, knows the routes that are going to hurt him. I may let him play from inside leverage against normal splits. All right, because he's seen enough varsity football that he knows the routes that he needs to trigger, and he knows where he needs to be when he triggers, and he understands leverage and where his help is. I played him in cover 2 as a force player. All right, I played him in some, trap theories as a force player. So he's got a whole year under his belt as a 10th grader playing varsity football. So now as an 11th grader, I'm going to give him more tools. The kids I got behind him that have to start, that haven't played yet, they're going to start from day 1. They're starting 7x1, outside leverage. They're going to have to earn the right to play different techniques, all right? This kid has earned the right. If he feels like, Coach, I want to defend the post, I want to play palms from inside leverage, I'm going to say, go ahead, all right? And the first time that you get beat outside on the bubble or you can't turn the ball back to your help, that's done. Okay, so he has earned his right to change his leverage. And if he feels like with a normal split, if he feels like maybe it's a dude that he can't cover to the post, all right, he's a good enough player and he's played enough football for me that he knows if he plays with inside leverage to defend the post, he knows when he triggers his departure angle and exactly what he's going to need to do, all right, when he takes on that block and he tries to destruct or beat or destroy the block in front of him on bubbles. He knows he better get his hat back outside, he better get his hand placement right so that he can turn that blocker where he needs him to make the ball go back inside. So he's earned that right, okay? So we have camp rules, things that we start with. Then we have split and divider type deals where we let our kids adjust, okay? And then we have tools that we build in out of the shuffle or the crossover run where we adjust it to it's an inside crossover run or it's an inside shuffle to try and recreate leverage to the post. The best thing about it is I think you play it the way you need to play it. So I don't think there's a leverage with corners. You don't have to say, there's nothing in stone that says 2-read palms play this way. No, I think there's standard practice, 7x1 outside, whatever, but I don't think you have to play it that way. I think you can play it how it fits your kids. All right, 2 vertical. You can go to every school in the country that plays palms or 2 reads, and they might give you a different answer on how they declare 2 vertical. Some people are yardage, some people are linebacker depth, some people are, steps or whatever it may be. I don't think it matters as long as your kids know what your declaration is and the corner and the safety are on the same page with what they pass off and when we go to 2, all right, to the flat, and when the safety needs to go to 1, it doesn't matter what your rule is. Your rule is what's best for you, what's best for your players. All right, so hopefully this video helps you guys. I had a couple guys ask me about how we play palms, what leverage we play, how do we defend a post. So hopefully this video helps you guys understand how we do it, why we do it, the leverage or the leeway that I give my kids as they grow up in the system. The more leeway I give them and freedom I give them to play things a different way, the more I teach them to understand the routes that we've got to defend. Okay, but the biggest thing I can tell you as a defensive coordinator, before you analyze anything in your system, make sure you analyze it to what you see in high school football. Don't analyze it versus the college game, the NFL game. We don't play those quarterbacks. We'll play 1 or 2 here or there. We don't play those guys that can make those throws. They can't protect the quarterback as long. I don't think it's as big of a deal. That's just me, 25 years experience, 23 years in high school in Northeast Florida with some really, really good football. And I still don't think the post is that big of a deal in high school football, my opinion. Have we been beaten by it? Yes. All right. Has it been an issue for maybe a season here or there? Yes. Is it an issue that I worry about constantly? No. Make teams throw the post, close the middle, play some man, pressure the QB, do some things that make the post throw a little bit harder. But if you would study your high school opponents more and more, I don't think the post ball is that big of a deal. I think the bubble is a big deal. I think now screens and quick game, big deal. All right, so I worry about turning those quick game throws back inside, not giving up explosives that way than I do about the 35, 45-yard post route down the field. Again, opinion only, my opinion only. All right, so these videos are there to help you guys. If my opinion is not your opinion, then don't use my opinion 100%. All right, I'm not telling you the way it should be done, has to be done. I'm telling you the way I do it and why I do it. All right, so again, if you're not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. All right, turn the notifications on, ring the bell. You know every time we do a video, every time we go on YouTube Live. Thumbs up, thumbs down if you like the content. All right, leave me a message every time I can respond to a message. Somebody just left me a message about defending triple option from the gun. That might be my next video. If you've got a video idea and I can do it, I will try and do it. If you've got a comment on this, something you like or don't like, by all means leave your comment. If you don't agree with me, don't be afraid to leave your comment. If you don't agree with me and you got a valid point, I'll recognize your point. All right? Doesn't mean that I might change my mind of how I do it, but I'll still recognize your opinion and understand that, hey, that's you, that's how you do it. 100%. If I ever have to change, maybe I'll come back and ask you how you do it because I want to change to your way. So even if it's a comment that doesn't agree with how I do it, leave the comment. I appreciate you watching. I love the interaction. All right, next Thursday night, a week from tonight, we've got our second Play Fast speaker in our virtual clinic series. Sean McIntyre, head coach, Creekside High School here in Jacksonville, Florida. Does a tremendous job. Great coach, runs a great program. Fundamentally sound, technically sound. They do a tremendous job with the kids that they have. So I'm excited to present him and listen to his presentation and his clinic talk. Next Thursday, email me, sting8740@gmail.com for registration info. We've got 9 more speakers. Coach McIntyre is the second one. It'll be 10 speakers in total, running all the way through July, so make sure you check out Play Fast Virtual Clinic Series. All right, guys, so appreciate everything you do for me. Hope everything's going well for you guys. Remember, you won't play well until you play fast, and I will see you next time.